Alright, this morning we're working with the Coates Hit 5000. Customer complaint is large oil leak. You can tell by the mats on the floor. It's diagnosed. I'm gonna switch it on. Just gonna operate all the clamps. Go ahead and hit the clamp. There you go. Alright, first step when replacing the clamp cylinder on a Hit 5000, you want to remove the panels along the outside. Mainly this back one and side, so you can get access to this whole port right here. This is the cylinder we're going to be replacing. You need this side open because we need to remove both of these fittings back here. This one mainly, and there's another one right here. 10mm bolts that hold it in all the way around. And then there's the same on all the sides. After that, we're going to remove this bolt off the main clamp carrier using your 15/16 socket. There's a multitude of washers and shims. Just want to make sure you keep those in the right order whenever you pull them off. A lot of them really dirty, crusty, just kind of fall right off. After you remove the main carrier bolt and remove all the washers, a test to see if it's loose enough, you can turn the machine back on and try and close the clamps. There we go. And watch it pull right on out. That's why I like to leave the hydraulics still attached. It's almost through. About as far in as we're going to get it. Probably about as far out as we need to go. That's about what you want it to look like. If you can get a gap there, you can achieve that by opening the clamps more before you take the bolt out. That would be optimal, but right here we're just going to have to work with that little bit. It should be far enough for us to twist that cylinder right on out. Second step is going to be removing the hydraulic fittings. You're going to make a mess regardless, so don't worry about how much oil you're putting everywhere. It's always recommended to change the oil after doing this process as well. Like I said, gonna make a mess regardless. Second one to remove is gonna be this hydraulic line. Be mindful of the steps of which one we are removing first. The second one we're gonna remove is gonna be this whole bulbous thing. I believe whenever we did the research into that is what injected the initial pressure into the machine whenever it was brand new. You don't really need to be too concerned about taking that off. So you can just remove it right here, and we'll remove this main line. Instinctively, you're going to want to remove it here, but it's going to break this loose. You're going to want to put vice grips as close to the base as you can, so it'll break it off the cylinder first. If we're using vice grips, pipe wrench would be optimal. One more left right here. Now all the hydraulic fittings are removed from the cylinder. Alright, so now all that's remaining that's holding the cylinder in is going to be this main pin right here. What's holding it in is 2 cotter pins. I'm going to remove this top one just because of ease of access. And then I'm just going to hammer that pin all the way out the bottom. Pin might be a little bit of a pain, but once you get it dropped out, the cylinder is ready to be removed. Majority of the time, this cylinder will be way too stuck to try and pull out the back just by hand. That's only happened to me a couple times where I've gotten that lucky. Majority of the time, you're gonna have to stick a punch right on through there, onto the top of the old cylinder, and just hammer it on out.
You can see the seal damaged right there. There's your failure.
Seal failed.
How it should look.
Alright. Got our old cylinder next to our new one. See where the fail occurred compared to what it's supposed to look like. Perfectly smooth all the way around. This is what was causing the massive leak. Whenever you're putting the new cylinder back in, you want to make sure that the hydraulic fittings are facing towards that panel over there, because that's where the fittings come in. They both come in through this side. So slide it on home. This fit can be pretty tight.
Looks like it's gonna be real tight.
It's going to be pretty tight. Might be able to get it with a flathead here. So the main issue that sometimes happens with these is, as you can tell right here, pretty close, but on the bottom here, it's actually over, so it won't allow it to go back in. This plate has a little bit of a gap, and that gap looks like about the same gap as what we need right there. So we're going to try and pry this down, get it in there. So our plan of prying the bottom one worked. As you can see, that gap is no longer there. Cylinder's ready to go in. Just gonna have to tap it in with a hammer until it gets right into position. One thing to remember before you let this cylinder get all the way into the carriage, you want to replace or put back any of the shims that you took off that were in between here. So in our case, we had 2. So we're making sure those are back on there before it goes right back into slot. Now the new cylinder's in position with the pin back through. We can go ahead and reinstall the hydraulic lines, and you can see that the fitting is perfectly in line with the hole there. So we're good to go. At this point in the video, you can either rewind to see how these fittings came off and what orientation they were in, but otherwise we're going to go back over it right now so we can make sure that we're doing it correct. Small fitting is going to go to the front hole. There's going to be 3 holes here. There's going to be a hole up here, right here, it's a grease fitting, hole here for the front fitting, which is going to be the smaller one, and then a hole back here. Like that. Then we can reattach the hydraulic fittings and then move back to the front of the machine. Get to reinstall this, as it might cause some issues and a pretty big leak if you don't put it back on. Alright, now that the new cylinder is installed and all the hydraulic fittings are tight, we're going to top off the oil, which goes in this hole right here. And we're going to run this cylinder out until it goes right back into position. Perfect. Reinstall your washers and shims in the right orientation. Tighten down with impact. Good to go. Cylinder is replaced. Just gonna put back all the panels. The machine's good to go. When you're topping off the oil on these machines, you want to make sure all the cylinders are closed. You want the machine to be looking like this to top off the oil. Thanks for watching. Hope this helped. Please comment, like, and subscribe for future content. See you next time.